What kind of man turns down the spotlight and still becomes one of the most powerful forces in Hollywood history? Robert Duvall never chased fame. He never tried to be the loudest voice in the room. And yet, for more than 7 decades, he dominated the screen with a quiet intensity that actors half his age could never replicate. From standing beside Marlon Brando in The Godfather to delivering one of the most quoted lines in cinema history in Apocalypse Now, Duvall didn't just play characters, he disappeared into them. But here's the part most people miss. He wasn't supposed to be an actor at all. Born into a strict military family, expected to follow orders and wear a uniform, Duvall was the outsider from the very beginning. He struggled in school, he clashed with expectations, and long before he won an Oscar, there were whispers that he didn't quite fit anywhere. Not in the Navy world he was raised in, and not even in Hollywood's glittering machine. Yet, somehow, that same outsider would go on to outlast generations of stars. He once said he didn't care about being a leading man. He didn't want to be another Steve McQueen or Robert Redford. He wanted something else, something pure. And that decision shaped every move he made for the next 70 years. So how did a man who barely got through school become one of the most respected actors of all time? And why did he walk away from fame at the very moment it was within his grasp? The real story isn't just about awards or iconic roles. It's about control, rebellion, quiet power, and the legacy that refused to fade. Robert Duvall was born into discipline. San Diego, 1931. His father was a rear admiral in the United States Navy, a man who believed in order, structure, and command. The kind of man who expected his sons to follow a clear path. No detours, no drama, certainly no acting. Most of Duvall's childhood was spent in Annapolis, Maryland, near the Naval Academy. The atmosphere was rigid. Polished shoes, pressed uniforms, expectations hang heavy in the air. His father was often away at sea, and when he did return, the distance didn't magically disappear. Robert once shared a story that says everything about those early years. After a long deployment, his father came home and sharply scolded one of his younger brothers. The response? Tell that man to go home. Not dad, not father, just that man. That moment revealed something deeper. A disconnect. Authority without intimacy. Presence without connection. And Robert felt it too. He wasn't built for the military mold. He struggled in school. By his own admission, he was terrible at everything but acting. While other kids excelled in academics or sports, Duvall found himself drifting. The classroom didn't make sense to him. The structure felt suffocating. But when he performed, something clicked. Still, acting wasn't exactly a respectable ambition in a Navy household. The unspoken expectation was clear. Follow your father's path. Wear the uniform. Serve your country. Keep the legacy intact. For a moment, it seemed like he might. After high school, Duvall joined the Army and served during the Korean War era. He didn't see combat, but the experience reinforced something important. He respected discipline, but he didn't want to live inside it forever. He was searching for something else, something less rigid, something human. And that quiet rebellion, the refusal to simply follow orders, would later define his entire career. Because the boy who didn't connect with authority would grow into the actor who mastered it on screen. But before Hollywood ever knew his name, he had to take a risk that could have disappointed everyone around him and changed the course of his life forever. New York didn't welcome Robert Duvall with open arms. It tested him. After the Army, he made a decision that could have easily blown up in his face. He chose acting over the safe, expected path. No uniform, no naval career, just uncertainty. He enrolled at the neighborhood playhouse in New York and studied under the legendary Sanford Meisner, a teacher known for breaking actors down to their rawest emotional core. And he wasn't alone. In those cramped classrooms sat other unknowns: Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman, James Caan. None of them were stars. None of them had money. They were just hungry, sharing cheap apartments, borrowing cash, grinding through auditions that went nowhere. At one point, Duvall was so broke he could barely cover rent. Fame wasn't even a fantasy yet. It was survival. But here's what separated him. While others chased attention, Duvall obsessed over truth. Meisner's philosophy drilled into him. Don't act, live truthfully under imaginary circumstances. That idea stuck. It became his weapon. He started doing theater, small roles, off-Broadway productions. No glamour, just repetition, discipline, and brutal self-critique. In 1965, he won an Obie Award for A View from the Bridge. That win didn't make him famous, but inside the New York theater world, people started noticing. One of those people was playwright Horton Foote. Foote saw something different in Duvall, a quiet intensity, a presence that didn't beg for attention, but demanded it. When Foote wrote the screenplay for To Kill a Mockingbird, he personally recommended Duvall for the role of Boo Radley. Think about that. Duvall's big screen debut had almost no dialogue. Most actors would have panicked. No big speeches, no dramatic monologues, just silence. But that's exactly what made it powerful. He didn't need words, his presence did the work. And that performance planted a seed in Hollywood. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but he was real. The hungry years in New York weren't glamorous, they were gritty. They built his discipline, they sharpened his instincts, they taught him patience. And patience was about to pay off in a way no one could have predicted. Because the next role wouldn't just change his career, it would change cinema forever. When Robert Duvall was cast in The Godfather, he wasn't the headline name. Marlon Brando was the legend. Al Pacino was the rising fire. James Caan had the explosive presence. Duvall? He was the quiet one in the corner. And that's exactly why he was perfect. He played Tom Hagen, the adopted son of the Corleone family, the consigliere, the man who was inside the empire but never fully blunt, an outsider advising kings, calm, calculated, controlled. Sound familiar? Duvall didn't have to manufacture that energy. He understood it. From the first days on set, something felt different, bigger. Even he sensed it. Years later, he admitted that about a third of the way through filming, he leaned over and said, "We're really doing something special here. Not hype, not ego, just instinct." He knew. Working alongside Marlon Brando only sharpened that instinct. Duvall called him a king. Watching Brando operate was like attending masterclass after masterclass. But instead of being overshadowed, Duvall matched him with stillness. While others exploded, he tightened. While others shouted, he measured. That restraint made Tom Hagen dangerous. The performance earned him his first Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, the industry saw what New York theater already knew. This man wasn't just talented, he was precise. There's even a small detail he joked about later, saying his only regret about The Godfather was not having a better hairpiece. That's classic Duvall. While the world dissected cinematic greatness, he noticed the wig. But beneath the humor, there was tension. Over the years, reports suggested there were disagreements surrounding his involvement in later installments of the franchise, particularly around salary negotiations. Nothing explosive ever confirmed, but industry whispers claimed he felt undervalued compared to other cast members. Whether that fully shaped his absence from certain sequels or not, one thing was clear. Duvall knew his worth. He wasn't chasing fame, he was protecting leverage. And while The Godfather cemented his credibility, it was the next collaboration with Robert Ford Coppola that would carve his name into cinematic history permanently. Because in a war film soaked in chaos, Robert Duvall delivered a line that would echo for decades. And he did it, almost effortlessly. If The Godfather proved Robert Duvall belonged in Hollywood, Apocalypse Now proved he could own it. In 1979, Francis Ford Coppola dropped audiences into chaos. Helicopters slicing through the sky, explosions tearing apart the jungle, soldiers losing their grip on reality. And right in the middle of that madness stood Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore. Calm, smiling, almost amused. Duvall didn't play Kilgore as a screaming war machine. He played him as something far more unsettling. A man completely at ease in destruction. A leader who treated warfare like a casual morning routine. Then came the line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." It's been quoted for decades, parodied, studied, immortalized. But what makes it even more insane? He nailed it in 1 or 2 takes. No dramatic buildup, no endless rehearsals. He simply stood up and delivered it. Coppola later said Duvall was the kind of actor who clicked into character almost instantly. Some actors need weeks to find the rhythm. Duvall, 1 or 2 takes and he was locked in. That's power. And here's the deeper layer. Kilgore wasn't just a flashy role. He had limited screen time, yet audiences remember him as if he carried the entire film. That's presence, the ability to dominate without overstaying. The performance earned him another Oscar nomination. By this point, the industry wasn't debating whether he was talented. They were debating how far he could go. But behind the scenes, something else was brewing. Despite the acclaim, Duvall was growing restless. He had become the go-to strong supporting presence, the reliable authority figure, the calm strategist, the commanding officer. And he didn't want to be boxed in. He saw how Hollywood worked. If you succeed in one lane, they keep you there. Repeat the formula, repeat the archetype, cash the checks. But Duvall wasn't interested in repeating himself. He respected stars like McQueen and Redford, but he didn't want to do himself over and over. He wanted range, control, depth. So at the height of his momentum, when most actors would double down on blockbuster roles, Robert Duvall stepped sideways, and that decision would redefine his entire career trajectory. By the late 1970s, Robert Duvall was hot. 2 Oscar nominations, major studio films, directors trusted him, audiences respected him. The smart move? Lock in big leading man roles, ride the wave, cash out. He did the opposite. Instead of chasing safer, bigger films, Duvall walked onto a Broadway stage and starred in David Mamet's American Buffalo. No explosions, no helicopters, no cinematic spectacle, just raw dialogue and tension in a cramped room. People were confused. Why step away when your value's peaking? Duvall answered it bluntly. He didn't know if he wanted to be a typical leading man. He looked at stars like Steve McQueen and Robert Redford and said something that shocked people. They do themselves over and over, and that to him felt boring. That wasn't arrogance, it was philosophy. Duvall didn't want celebrity identity. He wanted transformation. He wanted to disappear into characters so fully that you forgot the actor behind them. Fame makes that harder. Fame makes every role look like you in a different costume. So he chose difficulty over comfort. Then came The Great Santini in 1980, a fierce, complicated leading role that earned him another Oscar nomination. Not flashy, not built on charm, built on intensity and emotional friction. 3 years later, he took full control. In 1983, Duvall starred in Tender Mercies, playing a washed-up country singer trying to rebuild his life. No theatrics, no grand speeches, just restraint and vulnerability. The performance won him the Academy Award for Best Actor. But here's what he admitted before the ceremony. The real reason he wanted the Oscar wasn't validation, it was power. He openly said the award would give him the freedom to choose his own directors and control his projects. That's how he thought. Awards weren't trophies, they were leverage. And he used that leverage. He directed Angelo My Love, focusing on Romani communities rarely portrayed in mainstream cinema. He later wrote, directed, and starred in The Apostle, pouring years of passion into a story studios weren't rushing to fund. That film earned him yet another Oscar nomination, decades into his career. While others were chasing box office numbers, Duvall was building autonomy. That's the difference. He didn't reject leading roles because he lacked ambition. He rejected predictability because he valued longevity over hype. And that strategy paid off, because while many of his contemporaries faded with time, Robert Duvall kept working, kept evolving, and kept surprising audiences well into his 80s and 90s. But longevity in Hollywood isn't just about talent. It's about discipline and the ability to stay relevant without losing yourself. Most actors slow down in their 60s. Robert Duvall accelerated. While Hollywood quietly phases out aging stars, Duvall kept stacking roles. The Apostle earned him another Oscar nomination in the late 90s. The Judge brought him yet another nod in his 80s. He showed up in Widows, Hustle, The Pale Blue Eye. Not cameos, not nostalgia appearances, real roles with weight. He never announced retirement, he just kept working. That consistency built something rare, quiet authority. Directors didn't cast Duvall for marketing, they cast him for gravity. When he entered a scene, everything tightened. Dialogue felt heavier, stakes felt real. But longevity at that level doesn't come without friction. Over the years, industry whispers painted him as intense or difficult. Not explosive, not scandal-prone, just uncompromising. Reports claimed he demanded realism, pushed back on weak writing, and refused to phone in performances. Nothing dramatic ever stuck. No public meltdowns, no career-destroying controversies. But in Hollywood, even strong standards can earn labels. Here's the truth. When someone refuses to play the game casually, people talk. Yet despite decades in the spotlight, Duvall largely avoided the scandals that swallowed many of his peers. No headline chaos, no public implosions. His name stayed attached to work, not drama. His personal life, though, had its chapters. He was married 4 times. Barbara Benjamin in the 60s, Gail Youngs in the 80s, Sharon Brophy in the early 90s. Each relationship eventually ended. Hollywood relationships are rarely simple, especially when ambition and travel are constants. Then came Luciana Pedraza. They began dating in the mid-1990s and married in 2005. She was decades younger, which naturally sparked online chatter and speculation at the time. Nothing scandalous, just the usual noise that follows age gap relationships in Hollywood. But by all visible accounts, their bond held steady. She even appeared alongside him in Assassination Tango, a project he wrote and directed, blending his love for storytelling with his passion for Argentine culture and tango. And when he turned 90, his answer to what he loved most about that age wasn't about awards. It was simple: day to day with my wonderful wife. That's revealing. After 70 decades in film, after Oscars and nominations and legendary performances, the man who played generals, mob strategists, preachers, and power brokers valued routine, companionship, and staying in shape. He worked out, kept moving, stayed sharp. Even in his later interviews, there was no nostalgia tour, no dramatic farewell speeches, just steady presence. When asked about life after 70 years in front of a camera, he shrugged it off with quiet confidence. He was still living well. And that might be the most powerful part of the story. Not the awards, not the iconic lines, but the refusal to fade. But even legends eventually reached their final scene. And when that moment came, it was handled the same way he lived his life. Without spectacle, without chaos, just dignity. Robert Duvall's final act was as understated as his life. He passed away peacefully at the age of 95, surrounded by love and comfort. His wife, Luciana, shared the news with a quiet, heartfelt message. To the world, he was an Academy Award-winning actor, a director, a storyteller. But to her, he was everything. His life had always been lived on his own terms, and even in death, there was no grand performance, no public spectacle, just a man who had given everything he could to his craft and the people he loved. 70 years of acting, 7 decades of disappearing into roles, building characters from the inside out, and leaving audiences breathless without ever demanding attention. From To Kill a Mockingbird to Tender Mercies, from The Godfather to Apocalypse Now, every role carried his signature: quiet authority, deep truth, and emotional precision. He never chased fame, but the world noticed anyway. And that's the real legacy. Not the awards, the nominations, or the iconic lines. Not the speculation, the whispers, or the Hollywood myths that surrounded him. His legacy lies in mastery, the ability to be fully present, to command a scene without overpowering it, to age gracefully in a world that worships youth and spectacle. He didn't just play power on screen, he understood it in life. He showed that influence doesn't need to shout, that control doesn't require ego, that a long, sustained career isn't built on luck, but on discipline, choice, and refusing to compromise the truth of your craft. Robert Duvall never retired, and in doing so, he left a model few can follow: a life lived with intention, a career defined by depth, and a presence that will echo long after the final curtain falls. In Hollywood, where noise often outshines talent, Robert Duvall taught the quiet ones can endure the longest. And for anyone who has ever felt out of step with the world, his story is a reminder: mastery doesn't belong to the loudest, it belongs to the unshakable.